All right, brother. Rashad, welcome, man. For all of you who are out there logging in to our live feed, we're actually doing something completely new and exciting today. I've got one of my actually, he's a client, but he's also a good brother of mine. We've gone to war in many different realms, especially around the battle for manhood. Shout out to Crucible Project. For those of you who don't know what
Yeah.
Crucible Project is, look it up, thecrucibleproject.org. That's where me and Rashad actually met. And so it's been super exciting to see his journey come unfold and all the work that he's done. But in addition, he's seen a lot of my work behind the scenes. So it's been just a cool thing for us to come together in this context. But this isn't about me. This is about Rashad. The reason why I'm hosting this interview today is because a lot of you are wondering what are you doing now? Like, what does that look like, and how could that help me? And so I pulled Rashad on today to just give us some of that context of as to like why he joined and like what his experience has been and some of the things that have gone on. So Rashad, let's jump into this, man. Uh, First question for you is like, what specifically made you want to reach out to me in the first place?
So we had conversations. So the very first conversation I had with you was on a weekend we were on, and I was just kind of telling you about. You were talking a lot about health, and I heard you, and then I approached you, got your information because of what illness I had been dealing with, and your response, like literally tracked everything that was occurring in my body, and I had went to several different sources for help, but your response was like, man, he explained everything that I'm feeling. Like, a lot of times in fitness is like listen to your body. And so in me listening to my body, you kind of explained all that, everything that was happening. And so, but my excuse, because this was probably about a year and a half, removed. And so
So true.
every time I thought about health and fitness, like I knew it was something that I needed to take serious. It wasn't like it wasn't. And I did step into it and out of it over time. But with COVID and quarantine, I got to a place of, I had several conversations with my wife about, man, I should start getting into something, Yeah, I got Luke's info. I think I need to hit up Luke. And it just became like, dude, you have no excuses. So your excuse of your commute, I've got a pretty crazy commute to work back and forth. The excuse of, hey, I can't get up early or I'm tired. And so
Mhm.
COVID kind of removed all the excuses. And so when faced with the question of, okay, now Rashad, kind of like my self-talk, why aren't you leaning into this? I said, you know what, I'm gonna give Luke a call. Like, let me give him a call. I really love what he shared in the conversation. And obviously we had more weekends together after that, more time together after that. But in my mind, it was like, man, let me reach out and see what he's got, because I know, he mentioned some things that he offered when I spoke with him last about health. So let me just reach out. I don't have any excuses left, man. I've got to do something.
Yeah, good. That's awesome.
And then you were a crucible brother. So
Yeah,
that
that's
was the
right.
other part of it.
Stamp hashtag what? Well, so the question for I think that comes to mind is like, what results have you been looking for that you've been struggling to see on your own?
So the biggest one is consistency.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to commit to something over the long haul. And so when you start off in any fitness or health journey, you get to a place where I'll call it bland, where
Mm-hmm.
you're doing these same mundane things and then it just becomes boring. So I changed my food for a short period of time. And then it's like, dude, man, I need a burger. I deserve a burger right now. I've been at this thing for 8 days.
Yep. Yep.
I need a burger right now.
Yep.
And so consistency is one of them. The other thing is knowing what to do when you don't know what to do.
Mm.
So there's this thing of, I just being in corporate and business and pursuing anything in life, there's kind of always been this message to me, at least how I interpret it is, just stay the course, stay the course, stay the course, keep going, keep moving, keep going. And there is such a thing as adjustments, and so I could stay the course for, in my marriage, I could stay the course for 10 years. And for five of those years, that step and that thing may be the absolute right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
That next 5 years, you have to make an adjustment or you make a shift.
Mm-hmm.
But in the name of staying the course, you keep doing the same thing for that next 5 years, but it's the wrong thing.
Yep.
And so that's almost like pressing reset and you're starting back over again. And that's what I was seeing with my health. And so it was like, okay, I know, so in talking to my doctors and, so full disclosure, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis back in 2012. And so in doing that, my body and my digestive system, there's certain things that at first I could eat and then I no longer could, or I drink something. Or perfect example, I drink some I love cold water. I drink some cold water and send me straight to the bathroom. And so I'd make the adjustment because I didn't like going to the bathroom. You know what I mean? Hey, I'm gonna drink some warmer water. But in the scheme of other things and foods and moving and physical activity, I needed to know, okay, when it's time for me to pivot, what exactly am I pivoting to? Like what is it that, and I'm not an MD, I'm not a fitness coach. Yes, anybody that knows me, man, I'll read 1,000 books on, what to do and all that kind of stuff. But it's much different living that out and fleshing that out, and if I've already got enough of, kids, homework, all these other things that I need to be proficient in. And so it was like, okay, me getting a secondary degree in fitness and nutrition and all of this stuff, I'm not going to have time to invest in that. Like, I just be honest with myself, so consistency and then just knowing along the process, how do I add more meat into this thing? How do I know when to pivot, what to pivot to, and just the overall knowledge of not knowing what it is that I need to do, but exactly how to do it.
Yeah, man, that's so key. I mean, like, I think so. I think you spoke to so many people out there who have. I actually shot a video earlier this morning while I was at the gym about talking about how, when we grew up, for those of us who did athletics, we trained a certain way and we beat our bodies up a certain way and our bodies responded a lot faster. And all of a sudden we get into adulthood and we have that same mindset that, oh, if I just beat up on my body with the same exercise that I did when I was 20 years old, it'll have the same response, which it doesn't. And then we all get discouraged and, we go through that cycle. So I appreciate that insight about saying like, hey, yeah, this is like, if I was doing what I did in the past wasn't working for me today, and like me trying to stay consistent in that with all of what I was juggling as a professional, as a father, as a husband, like for me to go out and get a degree in what I need to get to try to understand these pieces is just going to be impossible. So I appreciate you saying those specific things. So tell me so far, like, what are some of the things that you, because I mean, Rashad, we had a conversation on our call the other day. We're like, hey, bro, this hasn't been like incredibly hard, right? Like you haven't put like a lot of effort. Like it's not on this. You're not on this crazy diet. You're not on this crazy exercise plan. And I think in the last 6 weeks or 5 weeks, you've already started to see some amazing results. Just speak to some of the things that you've done and you've seen results wise by just changing your habits and being intentionally consistent.
So first thing is my sleep. Man, I'm sleeping a whole lot better, a whole lot longer, and just the quality of that sleep feels so much better. I feel rested. It's not perfect every night, but for the most part, I'm getting much collective. The sleep that I get over a course of 7 to 10 days is a whole lot better than I was prior to that. Like, I'd probably get 7 to 8 hours of sleep where I'm sleeping and maybe wake up once. Man, that was probably happen every 3, 4, 5 months. Whereas now I'm saying that happen 3, 4 times a week, and
that's awesome.
That feels good because now and I'm not waking up in the middle of the night and I wake up at 2:30 and I'm woke, for an hour before I can go back to sleep, or I'm waking up, I know I got to get up at 6:30 to get ready for my day, and I'm waking up at 5:30. And so now I'm stuck, up and tired for the rest of the day. The other thing is my weight. So I've never done like I've not dieted, or I've never done anything like that. I've never, you know, set out to, hey, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I've never had to do that. Usually, most of my weight loss in the last 10 years has been, you're sick. I dropped 30, 40 pounds. Okay, now you're feeling better and you can eat whatever you want. And
Oh
now I
man.
can go get that Italian beef from Portillo's. And because of my desires, I'm
Yep.
putting the weight back on. I don't set out to put the weight back on. The weight putting back on is because, man, I can eat now. So I'm going to eat whatever I can. And then I end up back again. Oh, you're in a flare. You're sick again. And so kind of this seesaw of going back and forth. So this time around, setting a weight goal, but it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And so I'm down, 10 to 12 pounds in 5 weeks. And that's encouraging. Like, that's like, yo, this is not something I've ever done. I've seen other people get on weight plans and they lose it. Like my wife a couple years ago after number 3, she was doing T25 and all these kind of crazy things, and she was dropping it. But the intensity was crazy. And so I knew, so on one hand, I knew like whatever I did, it had to be consistent and had to be small increments. I couldn't, so if I'm doing this in COVID and I'm working out 3 hours a day, there's no way possible when I go back to some semblance of normal that I'm going to be able to sustain that. So that's the other thing. And just my involvement, engagement with family. And so one of my biggest goals, for kind of pursuing this was just, man, I'm not able to engage with family because I'm either always tired. Like I literally sit on the couch to watch a movie or something and I'm snoring in 2 minutes,
Yeah.
and I'm still snoring in 2 minutes sometimes, but it's only been 5 weeks, but I'm able to have more energy around things, and then my daughter is doing the eating portion of it with me. And so she's got more energy, a little bit more stamina now, and she's dropping some pounds and she's sleeping better, and it's not without a fight because she's like her dad, she wants her sugar, but she's doing it. And I gave her like, I didn't make her do it, I said, like, you don't have to do this with me. She's like, man, I want to do it with you. So that was really good for me because we don't get a lot of daddy daughter things that we do together. Yeah, I can go and take her somewhere and whatnot, but just in terms of life on life, I've not gotten to the point where I've created some consistency around things that we do together as father and daughter. And then my sons, they went cross country before it was shut down. So I made a goal to, man, I'm gonna get out here and I'm gonna run with them. I want to keep them in shape and kind of keep them in a mindset of cross country. And that first run with them, I didn't even make it to a half a mile. They were probably a good quarter mile, half a mile ahead of me, which I knew that was going to happen. But I was like, oh my God. And even pushing myself, I was like, this is, and I kept, looking at my monitor like, geez, I ain't at a half a mile yet. What kind of mile is this, man? This watch is broke. But just enjoying them, and so now seeing, so now my daughter will send me something. It's like this morning she sent me, one of her friends wanted to get her something from Dunkin' Donuts, and so she's like, Dad, can I have anything from Dunkin' Donuts? She's like, oh, I'm pretty sure they got smoothies or something. Just tell her to get you a smoothie. And so it's just even that level of communication, and it's not a permission in terms of, oh, you're going to be punished because you're eating such and such, but just for her to reach out and say, hey, Dad, what can I get from there? She wants to buy me something. Or my sons, on the days that we run, because now it's not running straight. You've got me doing the on and off the intervals. They'll say, hey, Dad, are we running today or are we running in the morning? And so even on days where I feel like I don't want to run, I really don't want to go out there, I'm tired, or man, I've got a ton to do. I've unintentionally created like built-in accountability with just those two options. And so, I mean, those are kind of some high level things. Obviously there's a ton of other things, but those are the big one. The weight, the sleep, and then engaging with my kids. There's all other stuff, you know, in terms of prepping with my wife, and that being the start of something completely different from how we operate.
Mm.
Um, and so it's tons of other stuff, but those are kind of the highlight things of, man, like if you look at our family and you see, hey, yeah, those things are different.
Mm. Wow, man, dude, Rashad, I just you it's funny that over the last three calls we've had, and we talked about some of this on our last call, and I'm like, I'm just proud of you, bro. Like to see you step into like who you are and become in alignment with like your goals, your values, and who you desire to be as a father, as a man, as a husband. I mean, it's just cool. And it's interesting because I think a lot of people put fitness as if you got that body and you had that picture where everybody would just worship you, then maybe you would get to the next level. Where it's like that's not even like that's so small in comparison to what like the value and the goal that you're creating out of this interaction for you going after health. So much so that I mean, many times over our calls, you've talked about, man, my daughter. I remember you talking about my daughter, like, I got my smoothie, and she's like, Daddy, I want some. You're like, really?
Yeah, that was a 2-year-old.
Yeah, 2 year, right?
That was a 2-year-old.
They're like, Daddy, I want some smoothie. But like, I mean, like, if you think about it, most of us, especially who work full time, who have kids, who are married, I mean, the struggle is real. I mean, and I think you highlighted something that was so imperative for people. Is like, man, if I get on a program that requires me to do 2, 3 hours of prep or work or like a day or whatever, like I might be able to do that for a period of time, but for like I can't sustain this. And then so whatever habit I learned, whatever restrictions I placed on myself is only going to fall by the wayside as soon as I get out of this. And I think you're speaking so much volume to so many people who are out there who are like, oh, I'm finally going to do this. I'm going to get healthy. And then they have the opposite effect, right? They, they're like restrictive and ornery and not happy and not aligned with their values and not aligned with purpose, which then all their spouses and they're like, get off this stupid diet. It's making you miserable. You're hangry, right? Like, they're not supporting you. Like
Yeah.
you were actually fun to hang out with until you went on this whatever diet you went on, right? Like your friends, I've heard people with other clients have said that, my friends, I can't hang out with my friends anymore. They don't like me. I just have to eat chicken and salad all along. I'm like, well, you don't have to do that, but if you want to, you could. But so, anyways, to bring that to like a point, like I think you really nailed something that was so key for so many people. Is like small incremental wins start to create like a ripple effect throughout every part of like your life, and especially for those of you who are working professionals out there, busy professionals, you're on the grind all day long, you've got kids, you're married, it's a lot of work, and that's one of the things that I had to really learn even in my life, that I had to define a new win, I had to define a new role, I had to be in alignment with something completely different than where I was before if I wanted to see something I could sustain for a long period of time and then actually enjoy it. And so, and I love the story about your sons, man. That was so funny. I really like, bro, man. I mean, like, look, I went out and like tried to run. I'm like, Rashad, just don't do that. Don't do that long distance stuff,
Yeah.
bro. Like let's break it down. But I mean, but think about it. Like you as a leader, and that was one thing we talked about from a very onset. Like I remember what we anchored your goals because I was like, all right, Rashad, why are we going to do this? You're like, Luke, I want to be a role model. Like I want to start stepping up and being a role model. And what I love about this is like, it's not like you've been screaming from the mountaintops. You better eat right in my family, honey. You better go get my greens. Kids, you better start throwing out that sugar. Don't be eating those M&Ms. I'm gonna spank you. Like you haven't done that. You've just like consistently showed up how and become in alignment with who you want to be. And I think what so many people need to hear, that like just consistent small action steps will create a slew of results that you're looking for. But more importantly, you'll start to bring the joy and the happiness that you want to see in all the different parts of your life. So I really appreciate that. I know you got a call coming up, so I'm going to get you out off this so you can get prepped for the next call. Rashad, there's someone out there that's probably like watching this video and I'm like, they've been on the fence about reaching out to me and like getting help. Like, why would you recommend them like step up and actually start to do this program?
So in doing, when I say I've done a few things in the name of my health, the single thing that is missing is the life on life. And so here's here's a plan. Either you create it or you get it from someone, and they take it and they live it out. What happens when one of the things you said on one or two calls, you talked about, after I finished talking, and you said, I want to highlight something. Right there, that's a limited thought. And I'm just talking and sharing and whatnot. And so for me, it took it back, and it was like, wow. So how much of that, when I you know, go to task, go to work, jump into this nutrition or this my health, how often is it that I have thoughts like that and they prevent me from stepping forward?
Mm.
Or, hey man, I ate this thing and it didn't sitting well with me, and you can share like, oh, you know what, that's because of this is hard to digest, da 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 da. Don't be alarmed about it. And it's bigger than your physical health, and so I've implemented a ton of things. I can say a ton of things. That's a lot. I've implemented some things into my life these last 4 or 5 weeks that kind of the physical health has enabled me to do. Now that I'm sleeping a little bit better, since I've been in COVID, I want to wake up when I'm finished sleeping, but now I'm having to get up at 6, put a little alarm to get up at 6 so I can spend time with God. And now I can do that without it messing up the rest of my day. And so to answer the question more directly, it's life on life, man. It's yes, we're gonna talk about what you're eating. We're gonna talk about physical activity and how you can do that. Is it dancing or is it bench pressing? You know what I mean? We're gonna talk about those things. We're gonna talk about, hey, can I get just one cookie? Or is this okay? Yeah, we're going to talk about those things, and we're going to help create habits to build on so that I make the right choices, when it my eating and my physical health. But the other piece of that is how it impacts everything else. And so it's not, the conversations and our check-ins are not limited to how much push-ups you did, what did you eat today. It goes into kind of the holistic piece of, man, how are you ordering your life? And I had a conversation with somebody about this week or last week. Can't remember who it was, but how are you ordering your life? And what that looks like. And so, hey, Rashad, you just told me that you weren't able to food prep, and so, yeah, man, we didn't have enough time. Okay, so let's dig direct, like you did this last week or maybe the week before, and it was like, okay, let's deal with the schedule right now. And so again, removing any excuse that I possibly could have had. We had already allotted the time to sit and talk and check in around how my week was. And so I couldn't say, hey, I got a call. I couldn't say, hey, we had allotted this time specifically to deal with things that were a challenge. And so it's life on life, man. I'm big on that. Like, I don't believe, at least at this point in those initial stages, I don't have enough healthy habits in my life especially surrounding my health, that I could have done it alone. I'm pretty sure I could have willed it away, and just sticking to it. But at some point, I felt like I would have fell off the wagon, because that's what in hindsight, that's what it's always been. And to have someone like, man, I got to get with Luke on Tuesday, and not like I'm afraid to give him a bad report. You always talk about small wins. It's like, hey, I want to celebrate these wins, but then you connect those wins back to my mission, back to what's important to me, back to my values. And that's an important conversation to have, especially as you're embarking on something completely different from the norm. And for me, that's my health. My last 10 years have been meds, sick, blood infusion, new meds, working 3 months, not working anymore, I don't want to be on this medical protocol. I don't want to take 9 pills a day, but I can't stick to anything. So I'm 9 pills a day with an injection a month. And so it's been filled with all of those things. And it's been extremely discouraging because prior to that, I don't have any history of that. So, I'm in so many ways fighting a battle that I don't have so if I'm boxing, I don't have, somebody in the corner, sometimes, or even football yelling out the plays like, hey, this is what's coming. This is the formation that's coming. Hey,
Yep.
hey, this is what's going to happen. Hey, and so that's extreme for me. That's extremely important. And so if someone were to say, hey, why Luke is just, man, life on life, man, I feel like you need a coach, and not in kind of uh, the way that it's become so popular. Everybody's a coach for everything. There's a coach for everything. I'm a drink coach. I'm I'm a shoe coach. But just in a sense of, man, somebody that can see things forming before you do and can help prepare you so that you're walking. So they're giving you a game plan and then making sure you're sticking to that game plan so that you can build the confidence within yourself that now, you can run this game. Now you're experienced enough in the game where now you're on the field calling the plays. You're seeing the formations. You're seeing what's going on. And so I think having a coach and having somebody like Luke on the initial piece of that is extremely important.
Dude, Rashad, you are the bomb, brother. I love you, man. You got such great wisdom, great insight. Just to see your change over the last 5 weeks, just in your mental capacity and just your clarity and in your mindset, in your language. That's what's been so exciting to see show up. And man, I'm sitting back here and I'm inspired. So I appreciate that. I know someone who's going to jump on and watch this will get inspired as well. So first of all, I appreciate your vulnerability for hopping up here and creating some space for someone else to relate to you. For those of you who are watching this and maybe you relate to Rashad's story, you've been there, you've been down the medical journey, and it just looks endless and hopeless for you. And in addition, no matter how hard you try, you're stuck. You can't see any progress. Send me a message. Let's have a conversation. I'd love to talk more specifically about what your struggles are and create a plan that would work for you specifically. We could talk about what that would look like. So, hey, Rashad, I'll let you jump, brother. Thanks again for jumping on. For all of you out there, have a great rest of the week and enjoy your weekend. One love. We'll see you.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate you.